Okay, welcome back to News USA. It is January 11th, 2021. And as you can see on the screen here, we're going to be talking about what's going on with President Trump and this whole situation that we had on January 6th during what was supposed to be a peaceful certification of the electoral vote. We saw a large demonstration that was out of control. The Capitol building was stormed. We had Congress members, lawmakers removed from the floor and locked into rooms or whatnot, and pretty much had to do what they could to try to stay safe against a mob. Now, we were kind of expecting this to happen, where we would see Democrats try to go ahead and move forward with articles of impeachment against the president. And that day is upon us. It has happened today. Earlier in the day, they formally introduced their resolution to impeach President Trump. They're charging him with incitement of insurrection for his role in that whole situation, where he was pretty much stoking the flames and trying to get as many people as he could to march or descend on the Capitol building to quote unquote support his Republican constituents who were supposed to be working on his behalf to object against certifying the vote in favor of Joe Biden. As we know, things didn't go too well. There were several lives lost, 5, if I'm not mistaken, the last time I checked. And one was a Capitol police officer, in which the details have come out that police officer was bashed in the head with a fire extinguisher, and that is how he was killed. Another woman we know of was shot in the neck while trying to enter the Capitol building. From the videos that it showed, she was trying to jump through what appeared to be a door. The window was busted out of a door, and she was jumping through it and was shot on her way in, trying to enter the whatever area that was that they were trying to get into. So several deaths. Other people, I think one person was trampled. Several deaths. And this was horrible. It's terrible that this is where we are in the United States of America. I don't believe that we should be here. I don't believe that we should be taking things to this extent over President Trump not wanting to concede the election or live to fight another day. He can still run again. Sure, he's an older gentleman, but he can run again. It's not as if his ability to hold office is impossible. He can hold office again. You get 2 terms. So why it has to be congruent, I don't know what the big deal is or why this is causing such a problem. It's not over for him, or at least at one point it wasn't. The way that things are looking right now, it possibly could be. We're seeing growing support from not only the Democratic side of the aisle, but there are several Republicans who are also supporting his removal from office. But at the same time, you still have several, if not the majority of Republicans who are opposing this. Now, more than likely, what's going to happen is all they need is a simple majority in the House, and majority, I think they already have what they need to go ahead and impeach President Trump. So what's probably going to happen is they're going to go ahead and impeach him over there in the House. There's a little bit of conflict in the House whether or not they should send it up to the Senate right now or if they should wait until later on. They don't want to interfere with President-elect Biden's first 100 days and his policies and things that he needs to get into place. So there's a little bit of conflict right now as to what they should do. Now, either if they send it up to the Senate right now, which it would be hard to do because they have to. The Senate is in recess right now. The Senate, they're not supposed to reconvene, I believe, until the 19th, and that's the day before the inauguration. So there would have to be, I think, every single one of the senators, all 100 of them, have to agree to come back to the Senate and to, start an impeachment trial, which is probably not going to pass to begin with in the Senate. It's only probably going to make any headway in the House. So this is more so of just, I've said this before, I believe this is more so of just a stain on Trump's legacy. I think they're going to put into the legislation that they wanted in there that he won't be able to run for president again. I think that's the main thing that they're trying to get past, that they don't want him to be able to run for president again. They want to make sure that he's disqualified from a potential run in 2024. And pretty much, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, just a simple majority of the Senate is needed to disqualify him from President Trump from holding future office. I don't believe that needs 2/3 of the vote. In order for him to be removed, we would need 2/3 of the vote for him to be removed, which he'll already be removed if they don't come back and reconvene. This will all be taking place after the 20th. So it's kind of a tricky spot. It's kind of a tricky situation. And this is why there's a lot of people saying that it's not even worth it. It's not necessary. They shouldn't be even doing this I think we're down to 9-10 days left before he is set to leave office. So it's causing some back and forth between Republicans and Democrats as far as within their own parties. There's Democrats who are saying, nah, we probably shouldn't do this. There's some that saying we should. Same on the Republican side. There's calls on the Republican side for him to be removed from office. And there's more calls on the Republican side for him to be left alone. As of right now, Vice President Pence, he hasn't really said anything. From what I was seeing before, I think the 60 Minutes interview with Pelosi, she made a call to try to get Pence to invoke this 25th Amendment, and he hasn't responded. And if I'm not mistaken, she says that she was on hold waiting for him to pick up the phone, and he never came to the phone. That's kind of rude, but hey, it is what it is. But Pence, as of right now, is pretty much done with Trump, and I believe it's vice versa. Trump is done with Pence as well. From reporting from insiders, they were saying that Pence is livid with Trump and him turning on him and pretty much invoking, a mob of domestic terrorists to try to come after him. And that is exactly what was happening. If you guys have been watching or following along, there's actual video out there of the crowd or the mob, a significant portion of them chanting "Hang Pence." And there was an actual gallows out there and with a noose that was hung up at the Capitol building. And there were people in there who their sole intent was to try to go in there and find the Vice President of the United States to try and execute him for treason. I mean, that sentence that just came out of my mouth, it seems like a movie, or it seems like something you see in a third world country somewhere. I cannot believe that we're talking about the United States of America in 2021. This type of it's unbelievable. We have Teslas, but we're still trying to hang vice presidents instead of doing this the legal way, the legitimate way, and voting and making sure that your voice is heard through peaceful protest, not the execution of our world leaders. And thankfully, it wasn't imagine if this was some type of organized terrorist group or organized militia group. This could have been horrible. We could have lost a significant portion of our lawmakers and our government very quickly because they were overran with very little weapons. I mean, there were some weapons found there. There were some bombs. I think they said some pipe bombs or IEDs that were found in the area or whatnot. There was a vehicle or a van or something that when they searched it. It had a bunch of weapons or whatnot. I think it was some rifles in there. But as far as from the video and what we see, the people who are actually confronting the police officers, we don't really see them with too many weapons in hand. They were just pretty much overpowered just by simple sheer numbers, which, I mean, of course, is quite overwhelming if you're, the minority and there's just a few of you and then there's, 200-300 people at a door, which there were thousands, but I mean, directly in front of them, that's probably what overwhelmed them and caused them to back off. And it's what allowed those people to get in there. Now, a lot of those guys who we saw in those pictures with their feet up on the desk, the guy with the horns, the buffalo hat, whatever you want to call it, they've been arrested. It's also being reported that there was members of the military who were there, and they were using their IDs and flashing them at the police officers to try to gain entry. There were also police officers, actual police officers, current employed police officers who were there also storming the building. Some of them have been fired, if I'm not mistaken. I think a couple of them have been arrested or something, some type of legal or legalities are being, pushed onto them as they should be. But this whole thing is just unbelievable that this is what's happening in our country. I don't foresee the impeachment really doing anything. It's too close. The only thing that it'll do will just be another stain on Trump. It will be, this is the first president in the history of the United States of America that's been impeached twice. It'll be kind of one of those type of things. I don't see them rushing it to get to the Senate, but if they do, I don't believe the Senate will do anything. Even if they hold it until after the new Senate, the two seats are sworn in out of Georgia, which brings them to a 50-50 split. And even after the inauguration where Vice President Kamala Harris would have the tie-breaking vote, even then, I don't think that we'll see too much movement. I could be wrong, but I think this is more symbolic than anything, and it really just represents the disdain and the disgust that people have, which is actually growing. If you've been paying attention, the PGA Tour has just canceled a major event at one of President Trump's. I believe it's in New Jersey. They canceled an event there. So the PGA Tour is not too happy with what happened, as they should be. You're seeing a lot of major corporations who are talking about pulling out funding and backing for Republicans who objected to the certification of the election. So far, I think Google is one. AT&T is another one that I read. And there's a couple of banks out there as well who are no longer going to support or give any type of financial backing to whatever Republican objected to the certification of the election, which you take money out of politics and you really have a hard time moving forward. You have a hard time getting what you need if you don't have the funds to do so. So we are seeing growing pushback on this. In my opinion, President Trump should have to have some type of litigation. That he should have to be called in front of someone and answer to what happened. If this was you or me, I've said it before, we would be in jail immediately. There's 5 people who are dead. He was inciting this. I think it was months before, or at least a month before, he was saying on Twitter, we all need to go down there on January 6th, and it's going to be wild. You had his personal attorney, the former mayor. He was saying we need to take this by fighting or by war or whatnot. So these people were incited to go and do what they did, and they should at least have to answer questions for it. If you want to get technical, Charles Manson, he never killed anybody. He got other people to do it, but he physically never did anything. He riled them up and got them to do it, and he spent the rest of his life in prison. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he died in prison. So what's the difference between the standards? Is it because he's a president? Yes, more than likely. Billionaire? Yes. But I don't see that as fair. He didn't tell anybody to go and destroy anything. He didn't technically tell anybody to rush the Capitol building, but the language, the sentiment, the verbiage that was being used was being used. We have to fight to get our country back. We have to fight to get our country back. We have to take our country before we lose our country. That type of rhetoric, it doesn't mean, hey, peacefully protest. Hey, peacefully let them know. You're using the word fight. You're using the word take back. So that has a connotation that gets people riled up, that gets them to the point where they want to go fight. It's not a peaceful point of view. It's not the same thing as saying, hey, let's go over here and just express ourselves. In my opinion, he should be answering some questions. He's been fairly quiet lately, and for whatever reason, I don't believe it's because of Twitter, because he has other avenues where he could speak. He's the president of the United States of America. He could have a daggone press briefing in a split second if he wanted to. So he can speak, but he's being awfully quiet here lately, and we'll have to see exactly why or exactly what is coming next. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Hopefully, we just back out of this thing and he goes on his merry way and we can move forward and not have to worry about too much violence in the future. Who knows? That remains to be seen. We'll have to just wait and see what happens. But as of right now, the House is waiting on a response from Vice President Mike Pence, and I don't think they're going to get that response. I think they're going to vote on it tomorrow afternoon is what they said, Tuesday the 12th, and then Wednesday is when they are going to go ahead and push for the impeachment vote. That will be on Wednesday. And I think that's what it's going to come down to, because I don't foresee, even though Vice President Pence is upset with the situation and everything that happened, I don't foresee him actually going ahead and moving forward with the 25th Amendment. It's being reported as well that President Trump is in there screaming inside of the White House that he's not going to leave, and not as far as after the inauguration, but as of right now, he's not going to resign before the inauguration. So that's a clear sign right there from insiders that he is still defiant and does not want to let up even after all of this has happened. So I don't know. He's pushing himself into deep water, and actually pushing the country into deep water. It's getting really thick. The division out here is loud. It's so loud it's deafening, and for some reason, we just cannot seem to agree and get along right now. And well, not for some reason. We know what the reason is. President Trump has been, pushing this division, and the left has some onus as well. They do blow things out of proportion when it comes to him that shouldn't be blown out of proportion, but a lot of it is justified. We've never seen this level of divisiveness. We've never seen, at least in our lifetimes, us living here today, our Constitution really pushed to the brink of getting ready to snap. This is something very new to a lot of people. As you can see, our nation's capital, which is supposed to be one of the most protected places on this planet, was stormed. And, so like I said, we've never seen this type of thing before, to the point where many, many people were not ready for it. And including some of the people who hold the highest offices in the land. And a lot of people are shaken up. A lot of people are hurt by what happened. And like I said, hopefully we could just move forward. So just wanted to stop in. I did this one just to go over some of the things that were happening and give some thoughts. Everybody who stops by, everybody who supports the channel, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And make sure you always, subscribe, check out, look out for the channel, hit the notification bell. That way, when we are live, and you can join in, and you can speak back and forth and give your opinions and give your thoughts. We do take calls here on the show. So appreciate everybody who stops by. Thank you very much. Stay tuned to News USA.